As the AIPAC brand becomes increasingly toxic thanks to the genocide Israel is committing in Gaza, some Democrats on the Hill are finally starting to get the message and backing off of their cozy ties with the Israel lobby. The New York Times has an article highlighting this phenomenon, but it created some drama, and now AIPAC is trading barbs with Representative Khanna. But before we get to that, Cenk, is the shift in the Democratic Party that we could be seeing surprising to you?
Oh, it's shocking. I can't believe that there are Democrats who are now beginning to dip their toe into defying AIPAC and the Israeli lobby. They're not fully defying them, as you're going to see here, other than Khanna and a couple of other brave people. But overall, they're in the middle of getting caught, and I kind of love it. So give us the details on how they got caught, and then Steny Khanna fight, which is super interesting.
Yes, definitely. So let's look at some of the polling data. As you can see, Democratic voters' sympathy for Israel has plummeted as of late. It's gone from 34% down to 13%. Meanwhile, support for Palestinians has grown. This is the first time in the New York Times poll since 1998 where sympathy for Palestinians has surpassed that of sympathy for Israel. So some Democratic politicians are finally now starting to catch on, like we mentioned, and they're starting to distance themselves from the stink of AIPAC. Starting with Hakeem Jeffries. He's long been supported by AIPAC and has taken over $1.7 million from them over the course of his political career. Charlemagne the God recently dubbed him AIPAC Shakur. Jeffries attempted to hit back at him, saying, "Charlatan the fraud has no idea what he's talking about." But anyways, Jeffries recently made an interesting shift. He accepted an endorsement from J Street, a liberal Zionist advocacy group that's been outspoken in criticizing the current Israeli government. Their president said in August that he now believes what's happening in Gaza may be a genocide. And Jeffries isn't the only one taking a step back from AIPAC. 3 Democratic members of Congress who had previously relied on AIPAC as a top campaign contributor have said over the past few weeks that they would no longer accept donations from the group. Representatives Morgan McGarvey of Kentucky, Deborah K. Ross of North Carolina, and Valerie P. Foushee of North Carolina. Then there's Representative Maxine Dexter. AIPAC poured over $1 million into her Democratic primary against Shulisa Jayapal, Pramila Jayapal's sister. Nonetheless, Dexter recently said the United States must halt the transfer of offensive weapons to Israel and ensure immediate, sufficient, and sustained humanitarian aid into Gaza. Democratic attendance at AIPAC's annual propaganda trip to Israel has also been dwindling. One Democrat who did attend this year and continues to defend Israel at every turn is Steny Hoyer. And we'll get to him in a second. But first, Cenk, some of these other ones, while backbenchers for most of them, or rank and file Democrats, are you encouraged even by Jeffries aligning a little bit more with J Street than AIPAC?
I mean, God, it is microscopic movement, but it is movement. So first, let's note for the record that Hakeem Jeffries is so lame. Charlatan the fraud. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't try to go back and forth with Charlemagne or anyone else. You're just going to get humiliated, okay? AIPAC Shakur is like the greatest nickname of all time. And you're trying to come back with Charlatan the fraud. Please, please don't embarrass yourself. Okay, he always does these silly things, right? You guys remember the picture that he put up with the bat? Like, oh, I'm ready for the Republicans. What are you gonna do with the bat, tough guy? What are you gonna do, use it? You gonna hit somebody with it? Are you even going to do anything to object to the Republicans? So please, please. So look, he's taken what, close to $2 million from AIPAC? So he works for AIPAC. That's why Charlemagne gave him that nickname. And so if you're a mainstream media reporter and you're the kind of idiot who thinks, oh no, politicians aren't affected by $2 million. Okay, I mean, go be a plumber or a dentist, do something useful with your life because you're obviously not a reporter. That's a ludicrous thing to say. So why were all of these Democrats before like tripping over themselves to, oh, I want to go to Israel, I want to go to Israel, I want to help Israel, I want to vote with Israel, oh yes, Israel, Israel, because they're getting bribed. Now it's legal bribes, it's campaign contributions, but also don't forget what happened to Nina Turner, who we're gonna hear from in a second. They also, that's the carrots or the bribes and the trips and all that stuff. By the way, if you go to Israel and you're a US politician, do not do anything wrong in the hotel room. If you think the hotel room's not bugged, you're so unbelievably dumb. Okay, so anyways, and now we've got a situation where they're like, oh, okay, we'll just maybe start to tiptoe out of the room, and they're waiting for the genocide to be over, and then they'll rush back. Oh, give me the money, I'll do anything. But the thing they're most worried about is what happened to Nina, which is AIPAC then goes, oh, I didn't just give you 50,000, 150,000, 500,000. You defy me, and I'm going to spend 2 million, 4 million, 8 million against you. So, Nina, what do you think about this movement within the Democratic Party?
And 20-something million against you, just ask Congressman Bowman. I mean, they definitely used Ohio 11th as the test case in 2021, well before October 7th. You could not, and Jink, I've certainly shared with you and maybe some of the viewers of the types of calls that I got from Israel firsters threatening me, saying I had to disavow the squad. I wasn't even in Congress, trying to hold me responsible for what the squad had said or not said that they did not like. I mean, those were the kinds of threats that I got when I was running in 2021, only because I said that Palestinians should have self-determination, they should have rights, and that both peoples, both Israelis and Palestinians, should have safety and security. That was a bridge too far, and they absolutely told me that they were gonna come at me with everything that they got. And even after my election, you see the leaders of the Democracy for Israel, or whatever the hell that name is, Jink and Jordan, interview and say, yeah, we did this in Ohio 11th and we're coming to a neighborhood or a district near you. And that's exactly what they did. As far as a leader, Jeffries, he is absolute joke. All he cares about is being the next Speaker of the House. You know, these people get no credit. I'm glad, let me back up. I am glad that some of them are starting to see the light, but did it take the slaughter of hundreds of thousands of people for you to see the light? Did it take the starvation of millions of people and the destruction of what little land they had for you to see the light? So although Jordan and Jink, I am glad that Democrats are moving. They're moving at a glacial pace. And for me, they get very little credit, if any at all. You should have been over here in the first place. And the Democratic Party, I don't know what the hell they doing on the national level. What is the vision to provide provision? I don't get these people. They should say that no Democrat should take dark money from NRA, the National Restaurant Association, because they believe in the sub-minimum wage, the other NRA, the National Rifle, so all of those things. AIPAC, none of those groups, any of those dark money groups should not be allowed to donate to any Democrat in the primary if they were really serious about turning this thing around. You cannot, and I am a witness, stand up for your district. The person who ultimately curried their favor so far has gotten $4 million from them. And Jink, as you laid out, if people think that the owner donors don't yank these people's chains, we got something to sell you. We got a bridge to sell you. It is disgusting. It is un-American to allow any foreign agent, foreign entity to dictate who will lead in a district in the United States of America and to pour that kind of money in. And let me just go ahead and pour this on here. And to be especially anti-black, because they come after black leaders even that much more harshly, and then other people of color. And as Jink and as you laid out, they will come after Jewish folks too, who stand up for humanity. And Hakeem Jeffries came into my district too.
I think that there's a reason why they come after black folks and Jewish folks more, because when Jewish Americans oppose Israel, it ruins the anti-Semite card, and that's their one-trick ponies, right? They love to do that. But when Jewish Americans go, no, I think that Palestinians should have a state, it hurts their talking points. And so they want to pretend that they're speaking on behalf of Jews, when in reality they're speaking on behalf of foreign government. And why do they come so much harder after Nina Turner, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush? They spent more money on them than anyone else. I think that they're worried that if minorities in America sympathize with Palestinians and realize that Israel is being over the top racist to Palestinians, saying they can't govern themselves, they should have no sovereignty, they shouldn't have the same human rights that other people have. We occupied them for 58 years, now they're committing a genocide against them. But no, that's not racist. No, the real problem is the bigotry against us. Oh, I'm worried about anti-Semitism because you won't let me continue to kill 20,000 Palestinian children, right? So the idea that black folks in this country and minorities in this country might sympathize and join forces with the Palestinians really concerns them. And that's why they go so hard against African Americans who support Palestinians.
Hard, and one more point, I do want to thank Jewish Voices for Peace, both national and also the Cleveland chapter. They were right by my side every step of the way. And I just thank them so much. They were such a bright light for me during both the special election of 21 and then the regular election cycle of 22.
I think in this case with Jeffries, this J Street endorsement will probably play out different than we've seen in the past, simply because I think AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby knows he's going to be on their side in the end. And like you pointed out, he's interested in becoming speaker, and they know deep down if he becomes speaker, they want to have a cozy. Everyone's going to want to have a cozy relationship with him because they need that access. But how it's played out in the past has been interesting. Like California 47, the primary last cycle, Dave Min versus Joanna Weiss to replace Katie Porter. Dave Min accepted an endorsement from J Street, and AIPAC, through their United Democracy Project, their independent expenditure group, spent over $4 million attacking him. He couldn't figure out why, other than he took that endorsement. So that shows how AIPAC operates. You have to align with them 100% or else they'll go after you. So how does that play out in cases like Steny Hoyer? Well, the New York Times article we've been citing brings up Steny Hoyer, who's one of the Democrats who has not gotten that message on AIPAC, and probably because he's taken over $1.8 million from them. In AIPAC, in August, AIPAC posted this video of him during his trip to Israel. Take a look.
I've been to Israel now 22 times. And we've just spent a week here. And what we found is, contrary to world opinion, Israel has been doing everything it possibly can to ensure that there's minimal damage to civilians who are not part of Hamas's army. Unfortunately, the world is not seeing that. And one of the things I've tried to tell the leadership in Israel, please get that message out, because the world has got a view that I don't think is accurate. I think the Israelis have responded with a resolve and courage that is an example to the world.
Maybe people think that because Israel has killed tens of thousands of civilians, but Representative Khanna responded to those comments last night, writing, Steny Hoyer, your comments are why our base thinks Democratic leaders are out of touch. It's hard because I like you, but the old guard is why our numbers are in the tank. It's time to be bold and speak this blunt truth, and for a new generation to lead a rebirth of our party. Then AIPAC attacked Khanna directly, tweeting, says it's all about his policies. At Khanna is mad his colleague got the facts firsthand. Here's another inconvenient fact for Representative Khanna. He hasn't taken a single action that has increased the pressure on Hamas to free the hostages and surrender power. Why not? And Khanna replied, Rep. Steny Hoyer, did you really call AIPAC to defend you? And you wonder why the majority of Democrats are fed up with our leaders and are done with the status quo. Step aside and make way for new leaders. AIPAC responded again, saying facts really undermine his push for the US to adopt policies celebrated by Hamas. Cenk, they've played the Hamas card. I guess the debate is over.
Yeah. Hey, note to AIPAC, we don't give a damn about your stupid smears. Oh, he's Hamas, he's a terrorist, he's an anti-Semite. That boy cried wolf so many times. No one believes you, you bunch of losers. You're pathetic in your attempt to buy our Congress. But only people more pathetic are people like Steny Hoyer. What was that? That looked like a hostage video. But I'm sure he does it voluntarily because he's been groveling to Israel his entire career. Why? Yeah, when you get $1.8 million, you work for the person who gave you $1.8 million. This is not complicated. You'd have to be a brain dead national media reporter to go, oh no, I bet he's doing it because he thinks Israel really is a model for the rest of the world. They should all genocide a different race that's right next to them. They should keep them occupied as hostages and servants for 58 years. They should take their land. They should starve their children to death. What a great model. I bet Steny Hoyer really believes that. In fact, I'm a little surprised that the New York Times even wrote this article.
Oh yeah, amen to that.
Yeah,
and man, I'm big ups to Congressman Khanna for pushing back on these people. You know, even Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, I got to give it to her, Jink. I'm telling you, Jink, Jordan, I never thought I'd see the day. But MJ, she and I, we agreeing on two things: that Epstein list and how the Israel lobby is really, has taken over our government and just fighting back. You got all that money for war, but yet people in this country are suffering, and people who are among the working poor suffering disproportionately. I mean, when you have people call your phone and tell you they don't care about what you're running for in your own district, 1 in every 2 children in the city of Cleveland, by way of example, live in poverty. And I had them folks tell me that me and the person who was next closest to me in terms of the competition, because it was 11 people in the race, only really 2 of us really competing hard for it, that there was no difference between us domestically. So you fixed your mouth to say that 2 black women are pretty much alike on domestic issues, but it was only where we stood on Israel. When I asked them about the poverty in Cleveland, what was happening to the working poor, small businesses, they said that was not their interest. Their interest was Israel. So I said, let me get this straight. I am supposed to run for Ohio 11 and put a foreign country over the needs of my district. I want the TYT audience to understand this. And I believe, Jordan or Jink, it was Congressman Massey who did an interview. I don't know who interviewed him, but he said that they all were assigned people from AIPAC. Yep. I believe he said that. He told the truth. He revealed, yeah, this is real. This is real, and it's sad. It's anti-American.
So it was, just to clarify, it was Tom Massey. I believe he was on with Tucker Carlson, and he said that every member of Congress on the Republican side had AIPAC or some sort of Israeli babysitter, and that's usually called a handler, right?
Yes.
And he said, I don't know if the Democrats do, but very, very likely they do. Marie Newman came on the show, former Democratic Congresswoman from Illinois. She voted against Israel when they asked for another $8 billion on top of all the other money that they'd taken. And she said 4 Democratic leaders came up to her and started yelling at her, red in the face, saying, how dare you oppose Israel? We're gonna take all your money away. And we're gonna make sure that there's an opponent that is funded against you. And by the way, that's exactly what they did. They did take the funding away. They did fund an opponent, and she wound up losing. So they keep wanting to send this message. So that's why Steny Hoyer looks like a hostage there, but he's been a voluntary hostage for them for all this time because he's greedy and he's corrupt. And I want you to understand, if you don't know, this Steny Hoyer has been the number 2 to Nancy Pelosi and number 2 in Democratic leadership for a long, long time. This is not an insignificant backbencher. He is Democratic leadership. And remember, 92% of Democratic voters think that Israel is wrong in what they're doing in Gaza. But Steny Hoyer, a leader of the Democrats, comes and goes, I don't care about 92% of my voters. Israel, where's the money? AIPAC sent me the money. So I can't stand corrupt US politicians like that who sell us out. They sell out the Democratic Party, they sell out Democratic voters, they sell out this country for campaign contributions and so they could retain their power. He sickens me. But guys, good news. There's at least one guy right now in Congress, Khanna, who's fighting back. Him calling out Steny Hoyer is not a little thing in Democratic politics. That is gigantic, that he had the courage to do that, because you will get attacked full force from not just politicians, but also from the media. And Jordan, let's also note for the record that Steny Hoyer then went and ran to mommy and cried and said, AIPAC, help me, can you attack Khanna for me? So that's a classic cheesy, corrupt politician move.
Yeah, I think it's insulting, and it shows how stupid that politicians like Steny Hoyer think that you all are. You can see the realities, what's happening in Gaza, but he is trying to convince you that everything's okay because of a propaganda trip. But also I want to point out one final thing. So Senator Turner pointed out how their opponent in that race and the money flowing in wanted to prioritize Israel over the interests of Cleveland. And Max Miller in the adjacent district, big Israel supporter, said he wanted to turn Gaza into a parking lot, said Palestine doesn't even exist. That, if roles were reversed, would lead to censure in Congress. But despite this, despite the victor, Chantel Brown, in that race, and Max Miller both prioritizing Israel over the interests of Cleveland, Max Miller is calling for Trump to occupy the city of Cleveland. So maybe if they had somebody like Senator Turner in there representing the district, putting the interests of people of Cleveland and all of these other districts first, where you have people who aren't going to put Israel first, they're going to put their own constituents first, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation where you're having the economic conditions, when you're having all of these different existential crises affecting people, being exploited by an authoritarian leader and an authoritarian government for these crackdowns. You'd be a lot better off if you had somebody who wasn't worried about another country in there fighting back against those attacks from people like Max Miller.